Yeah. So is it visible?
Yes, visible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So again, welcome all participants to day one of this faculty development program on India Knowledge Systems, and I'm Dr. Shaswati. And the significance of this 5T program acknowledges that participants come from diverse disciplines. This diversity mirrors the very nature of IKS, which is fundamentally cross-disciplinary and integrative. So, suggested opening, if I would like to say from this session, so begin with a Vedic piece in invocation from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So it was mentioned that Ashatuma Shadgamaya Tamashuma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. So lead me from the unreal to the real, and the me that is not only me, all of us, from darkness to light, from the dead to immorality. So, going to start from this beautiful quotation, and then why situated the situation in, say, for example, like what is knowledge? How is it known, and what for whose flourishing? So, this is actually suggested opening invocation for today. So, participants, I would like to ask just 1 minute a quick question, just recalling one piece of knowledge that you have already received from knowledge from grandparent, elder, community practitioner, or folk tradition that is not found in any university or textbook. So, if would like to know from the participants to share briefly, so that actually we can start after the that icebreaker activity. So yes, it's actually open for all. I would like to know. So any kind of grandmother's remedy for fever, say for example, like using tulsi or ginger, a farmer's method of reading monsoon from and behavior, or that tree flowering, or maybe that this kind of other than that knowledge of trade or healers mapping of this kind of 40 medicinal. Let's say for example, so may I know from your side, like this kind of oral history or oral folklore, or maybe this kind of knowledge system if you have already gained from that from your home, or maybe from your neighbor or the grandparents as well. So any question?
May I answer, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, I would like to share an experience. I personally had experienced this. This is from the village of Dimapur, Nagaland, where there
Mm-hmm.
is a lady. What she used to do is someone is having jaundice. So she used to chant a mantra, and she used to bring a bucket full of water and used to do some rituals with mantras and all. Okay, and she used to dip down the hands and
Mm-hmm.
used to rub it with haldi and all. I don't know the logic behind it, but after doing this ritual, even I had this ritual once. I was suspected with jaundice, so
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a kind of a magic that would also come under ancient wisdom, I suppose. And we get to heal as well without medicine by chanting those mantras, hidden knowledge.
Hmm.
What is your take on this, ma'am?
Oh, yeah, okay, definitely. Definitely, I would like to go through this kind of question. You just keep it on my mind, and definitely the question answer sound will start. We will begin after this session. And but this is actually just I just know about this kind of traditional knowledge that you already observe, or maybe you heard, right? So like Aditi Day, like other practitioners, or maybe the participants from this MTP definitely received or observed or heard this kind of situation. So just would like to give the here the pause. Thank you, Aditi. And this is actually the knowledge systems. And this knowledge system is really, that foundation of every knowledge systems, the concept, source, and epistemology started. It is not only the traditional knowledge of the Ayurvedas or these kind of mantras, or, that medicinal plants and all. It's just, this is an example. Yes. All right. So Is it? Yes. So what we are going to learn from this FDP program? So say for example that what is IKS? So this is not a new thing nowadays. So it's an umbrella term for the multidisciplinary body of knowledge developed in the Indian subcontinent over thousands of years. It is neither a single system nor a single tradition. Just the that research scholar that is just mentioned, just one that one only the sectors he mentioned. So it is a vast, pluralistic, internally debating, and regionally diverse continuum that spans the following domains. Say, for example, the natural sciences, astronomy, Jyotisha, mathematics, Ganita, medicine, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, metallurgy, botany, chemistry, or Rasasastra. If I come to the social sciences part, to like political philosophy, that means Arthashastra, law or governance, Dharmasastra, economics, town planning, Vastuvidra, etc. If I come to the humanities sector, then linguistics and grammar, Vyakarana, logic, Nyaya, philosophy, Darsana,
Good evening, ma'am.
literary
I'm
theory,
sorry to disturb. Can you just present in
Ma'am,
the
please
presentation mode
F5.
because we are not able to see. Like it is very, very small.
okay,
Presentation mode.
just a
It's
moment.
in the bottom icon.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's visible
Thank you
properly.
so
Thank
much.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So like humanities, if I come to the point, humanities, so linguistics and grammar, Vyakarana, logic, Nyaya, philosophy, literary theory, Kavyasastra, Dhani theory, etc. Performing art, if I come, then music, Sangita, Natya Sastra, dance and drama, puppetry, oral performance, traditions, folk theatre, etc. and so on. Ecology and agriculture, if I come to this sector of field, the traditional farming systems, water harvesting, seed knowledge, forest governance, animal husbandry. And if I come to the field, spiritual traditions, yoga, tantra, bhakti, Sufi, tribal cosmologies, each with its own epistemology and practice. So Indian knowledge systems or knowledge system, if I say, so this is that just mentioned these 6 fields. However, these 6 fields are not enough, but this is actually cover. Crucially, IKS includes both allied textual traditions in Sanskrit, Tamil, Pali, Persian, and oral community-based. Just the participants just replied before beginning, and tribal knowledge traditions. Equating IKS with Sanskrit texts alone is a serious error. The marginalizes the majority of IKS practitioners and knowledge holders. Here, I would like to say something like Indian knowledge systems. If I remove Indian, then definitely knowledge system will be there, right? And this knowledge system, if the researcher or the faculties, okay, so and whoever participants are here, just you can compare the knowledge system of Indian knowledge system along with the other. Definitely it will be a good that research paper in the field of these 6 I just mentioned. The knowledge system, it is not just based on India. Definitely, if you go to the the Cambodia part and the other European countries, and also I will come to that point as well. And if you go to the the South Asian countries, that also the knowledge systems, Rwanda, African, and all are actually same. However, if you go in them, definitely you can find out the similarities as well. So here, definitely the knowledge system KS, you can say. Now, definitely we are here and we are studying the Indian knowledge system. Definitely we have to go to find out the root. So before we can understand how IKS knows, that epistemology, we must understand what IKS believes reality to be. That means the ontology. The ontological premises of IKS differ fundamentally from those of Western modernity and shape everything downstream. All right, then dharma. The ground of cosmic and social order. Dharma is the single most central and complex concept in IKS. It cannot be translated as merely religion or duty. It is the principle of right order that sustains the cosmos, society, and the individual, simultaneously determines cosmic law. That means the Rita. The principle by which the universe operates: fire burns, water flows, seasons change, the regularity of nature understood as a moral order. Social ethics, the duties and the mutual obligations that sustain community well-being and justice across all relationships. Individual vocation, Swadharma, each person's own nature and purpose, which self-knowledge and right education help one to discern. A living contextual principle, dharma is not fixed law engraved in stone. It requires wise interpretation in each situation. This is why IKS produces jurists, philosophers, and community elders, not just rule followers. Now I will come to that point. What is Rita? Just I mentioned what is Rita. That means natural law and universal truth. Rita from the Rig Veda is the concept of cosmic truth and a natural regularity that precedes all human convention. From Rita evolves the concept of Satya, that means truth and personal commitment to reality. Rita establishes that IKS is not arbitrary or merely conventional. It is grounded in observed patterns of reality. When Vedic poets said the sun rises because of Rita, they were articulating a proto-scientific insight. The universe is lawfully ordered and disorder is also morally significant. Next, Pancha Mahabhuta, the 5 great elements. Indian ontology understands the physical universe is composed of 5 fundamental principles called Mahabhuta. These are not merely chemical substances, but principles of nature with both physical and qualitative dimensions, like Prithvi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, Akasha. The Prithvi, that means earth, principle of solidity. Then again, mass cohesion associated with smell, the stable foundation of physical existence. Water, principle of fluidity, blinding and adhesion, associated with taste. The principle of flow and connection. Agni, fire, principle of transformation, energy and illumination, associated with sight. The principle of change and metabolic activity. Air, that means Vayu, principle of movement, vitality and breath, that means prana, associated with touch, the animating principle of all life. Akasha, that means space or either. So, like principle of expansion, resonance, and possibility associated with sound, the container of all existence. So, this is the 5, that great elements we can found definitely when we study Ayurveda. This framework is not merely metaphysical. It is operationalized with precision across multiple knowledge domains. Ayurveda, just I mentioned, understand health as the dynamic balance of the Pancha Mahabhuta expressed through 3 bioenergetic principles. That means 3 dosha, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, like air, space. Vata means air plus space. Pitta means fire and water. Kapha means earth and water. So Vastu Shastra designs built environments in alignment with the elements forces of a particular site, orientation and function. You just imagine the human body. And the human body without this Pancha Mahabhuta, and if the problem with the 3 dosha, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, then our human anatomy definitely will show, inside and outside also. Outside we can, so inside definitely we cannot see what is going on in our inside the body. But when we go, that through, that medication and all, definitely we'll come to know, okay, this thing is not, the going good, or this is the problem, this is the iron problem, this is a kind of a gastric or something, etc., etc. Why this happens? Of course, this is the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. This is the 3 dosha. And why? Because of the 5 elements. breathing problem, something is energy problem. We do not have the water level properly. So you can just imagine this, that Pancha Mahabhuta. We can feel our Pancha Mahabhuta in, the space. The same thing. Hum kahan se bane? Definitely of this space and all. We are the part of the space. We are part of this Prithvi. So this is the example of this knowledge system framework. Then again, Atman and Brahman. Self-knowledge is the highest knowledge. Para, apara, what is Maya? So in Vedanta, in many allied traditions, the highest form of knowledge is not only the knowledge of external objects, but direct realization of the nature of consciousness itself. Atman, that means the individual self, and Brahman, the universal consciousness underlying all existence, are in Advaita Vedanta, ultimately identical. This is the philosophy. The apparent plurality of the world is Maya, not illusion in the sense of hallucination, but unlimited perspective, that ignorance, avidya. So knowledge is not merely information accumulated by a subject about object. At its deepest level, knowledge is transformation of the knower, the dissolution of the very subject-object division. The division between the knower and the known, ultimately provisional, not absolute. The challenges, the deepest assumption of modern scientific epistemology. Ethical living, contemplative practice, and intellectual inquiry are not separated domains. They are mutually constituting stages of a single journey toward truth. So this is that philosophy, and this is our root. Again, we'll come to the ontology and interconnectedness. Perhaps the most practically significant feature of the IKS ontology is its insistence on the fundamental interconnectedness of all reality. The cosmos is understood not as a collection of independent objects, but as a web of relationships. Human beings are not separate from nature, but embedded within it as participants and co-creators, not as masters or consumers. Knowledge, ethics, and action are not separate domains, but form an integrated whole. So why sources matter? The source of, IKS, the why sources matter. Understanding the full diversity of IKS sources, if we see, the understanding the full diversity of IKS sources is essential for two reasons. First, it corrects the common mistake of equating IKS with Sanskrit textual tradition alone. Second, it establishes the breadth, depth, and methodological challenge of IKS scholarship. IKS draws in 4 major source categories, each with its own internal structure, transmission mechanism, and epistemic authority. Shruti, Smriti. Now, what is Shruti and Smriti? Revealed knowledge. Shruti literally means, that which is heard. It refers to the body of Vedic literature considered to be revealed knowledge, not authored by human beings, but directly cognized by ancient seers, rishis, and the states of deep meditative absorption and transmitted through an unbroken and oral tradition across millennia. Shruti represents the most foundational layer of the Brahmanical textual tradition. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. Each Veda actually teaches us the different domains of what we are going through, the students going through in the different fields, different sector, the researchers, educators. Hymns to cosmic forces expresses deities, cosmological, philosophical, etc. we can found where in Rig Veda. Ritual formula and technical procedure of Vedic sacrifice, yagga, practical procedural knowledge, where we can found in Yajur Veda. The hymns, then ritual chanting, that Indian classical music theory, dance, natya, drama, Rasa theory, where we can found Samaveda. and the practical knowledge of our life, the lifestyle, where we will stay, what to have, healing, agriculture, everything which is related to the practical knowledge, where we can find definitely the last one, the Atharva. So extended Vedic corpus along with the main four Vedas like Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads, everywhere, everything, we can get everything related to our life, what we follow, our philosophy, everything here in these roots. Say for example, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the nature of Brahmana. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says Atman and the theory of consciousness. Chandrika Upanishad, Tattvama Ashihi, the identity of individual self and cosmic reality. What the Triya Upanishad says, the Pancha Kosha Madan, 5 states of the self, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, the most complete model of human personhood in Indian knowledge systems. Mundaka Upanishad, the distinction between Paravidya, what is Para and Apara, higher knowledge of Brahman is Para, lower knowledge of phenomena, that is Apara, along with the 6 Vedangas, auxiliary sciences of the Veda, Siksha, Chandas, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Kalpa, Jyotisha, we can find where in Vedangas. Smriti, that is the second one, remembered and codified knowledge. The Smriti literally means that which is remembered. It refers to the vast body of text authored by human sages and scholars, considered authoritative and valuable, but secondary. The Shruti is the Brahmanical hierarchy of knowledge. Smriti is more historically situated, socially engaged, and practically oriented than Shruti. And it is through Smriti that IKS engages most directly with questions of law, governance, science, art, and literacy. See, so law, governance, science, arts, and literacy, everything it is related to what we are actually following. If we come the major Smriti categories, so definitely we can define as Dharma Shastra. Say for example, law codes governing social life, property, family, governance, Manusmriti, Yagya Valmiki Smriti, Yagya Vailakya Smriti, and others. And this must be read critically within their historical context. They encode Brahmanical patriarchal norms that the later Bhakti movement, among others, directly challenged. Itihasa, epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata, collectively among the longest literary works in the world history. The Bhagavad Gita, the part of Mahabharata, the most influential single text in IKS, a systematic philosophy of knowledge, Jnana, Karma, that is action, devotion, Bhakti, delivered through dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Puranas, 18 Mahapurana, and numerous Upapurana, popular encyclopedia. That's the story of ages, we can say, the popular encyclopedias of cosmology, geology, ethics, mythology, regional traditions, the primary vehicle through which IKS reached non-Brahmanical communities. We come to the Arthashastra, that statecraft, economics, military strategy, diplomacy, administrative science, and one of the most sophisticated treatises on governance ever written in any tradition. Say, for example, again, Natya Shastra, the Bharata Muni, the foundational treatise on performing arts, theory of drama, music, dance, aesthetics, stage management, and audience psychology, the direct source for all Indian classical arts, including Satriya of Assam, Krishna Lila of Manipur, Bharatanatyam. Say, for example, these are 3 examples I just shared with you right now. So again, Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita. We cannot ignore the Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita. May I know, so what is actually, what the Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita? May I know from the participants? Did you ever hear about Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita?
I think Sharak Shahita and Shusruk Shahita. It's
Yes.
kind of advisory or books written on the medicine, and
Correct.
there are also many ways of surgeries and many prescriptions or many herbs have been mentioned, and we used to even recuperate people from the very rare disease, and there used to be many we even in modern science we cannot go for the surgery. We used to have that surgery at the time, and Shuruk the Acharya Shuruk wrote that Shuruk Samhita and Shushruk Samhita by Shushruk. So that's what I know.
Correct. That's great. So yes, we cannot actually that medical science part as well. Charaka and Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, the true great foundational texts of Ayurveda, internal medicine, and surgery respectively, both demonstrate sophisticated, clinical observation, pharmacology, and surgical technique. We can find out what is the surgical, where it was the that cosmic, where nowadays we can see, okay, that C and he went for the that cosmic surgery here and abroad or somewhere else. Iska ye nose ye ho gaya, ye wo ho gaya. So and all along with that that cataract operation and all. It was not just begin in the 19th century. It's already done, that millennium years ago. It's Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita. We can find out that way, and it was defined over there. So if we can come here, definitely, I would like to say some examples from Northeast India side as well. However, I don't know how much. All right, fine. I will definitely go through later. So now, based on these, that this is the interdisciplinary work. And after that, I would like to connect everything orally. So because oral tradition and its primary sources are very much important after this, Shruti, Smriti, and the foundation of IKS. So do you know what is oral tradition, by the way? Will come definitely, because now we are just changing the lines from the textual from the text to now the one more foundation, and that is none other than the orality, and this is the most important part. So I would like to ask if anyone knows that what is the oral tradition. This is also primary source. Yes, anyone? Okay, so oral tradition, we know that parampara and oral, which is actually transmitted orally, generation by generation. So a critical corrective to textual bias. Even we can say, like, I guess not identical with its Sanskrit textual tradition. The overwhelming majority of Indian knowledge system has always been transmitted orally. And the most vital knowledge, ecological, medical, performative, communal, exists primarily or exclusively in oral form. Oral traditions are not inferior pre-literate approximations of textual knowledge. They are complete, sophisticated knowledge systems with their own internal logic, memory, technologies, and quality control mechanisms. So here I would like to give you a few examples of two or three states. However, it is not possible to give the examples state-wise. I would like to hear if the participants or research scholars can say the state-wise, if you are from the definitely different states of participating here. So for example, epic and narrative tradition. would like to say like, Vilupattu, if I'm not wrong, the Tamil Nadu. If I'll come to Assam part, northeast side, so Ozapali, and some others, that Katha, Bayana, Hari Katha. So this is actually some part of, orally transmitted the epic version we can see. So which is actually encoding cosmology, ethics, history, philosophy in sung and performed narrative. Along with that, proverbs and riddles are also matters. Concentrated, distillations of ecological, agricultural, social, and practical wisdom, often encoding scientific observation in memorable poetic form. Yes, I think Bhaskar, definitely. I would like to hear, or we'll go through. Right now, actually, I'm not able to see. However, we'll definitely see your whatever you just mentioned about the oral formation and all oralities. Okay, we'll go through. So yes, and the proverbs and riddles are also matters. Say, for example, in northeastern side, Assam side, there is a Dakar Boshon. It's a riddles. Okay, maxims actually. Sorry, maxims. So it is a kind of a wisdom they applied. The wisdom in the agriculture side. Right, say for example, these days we have to do this kind of crop, or these days we have to, we have to finish or cut the crops and all agriculture. We have to, start the crop or cultivation. So that's why, different, spring seasonal festivals, etc., like Bihu, Bishu, or that January month, that western side also we can see the Lori and all are related some wisdom, all are related to the seasonal, and where it is actually mentioned, it's nowhere. It is the oral transformation. And the folk songs and seasonal songs, again, they're just related the agricultural calendars, ecological knowledge, social norms, and emotional intelligence encoded in music. And the different kind of folk songs as a repository of, that ecological of the particular states, origins, and social knowledge. Again, the ritual science and ceremonial knowledge. Say, for example, marriage, birth, date, harvest, healing rituals, encoding legal, ethical, medical, cosmological information in prescribed sequences. So oral legal traditions, customary laws transmitted through elders, community councils, and intergenerational storytelling as binding and as sophisticated as any written legal code. Here I would like to, say for examples of this oral legal tradition of the customary laws. Different, that community-wise, tribe-wise, or maybe you were also here, or maybe you heard. That was their governing system. However, that governing bodies there, of course, the different kind of political party, different kind of, rules are there. But they still have their own rituals, some tribes, say for example, the Tiwa community, and of course, I would like to say Tiwa community because currently one project is actually going on, the customary laws. Even also, the customary laws of Tiwa is just worked in 2018, and it was actually presented when I was in Europe. So this is just an example of the, oral legal tradition. It was actually transmitted orally, and that kind of, that customary laws still exist. Again, we'll come to the point of the living and embodied sources. Here, actually, we are discussing about interdisciplinary business. We went through the natural bridges science, already went arts, philosophy, ecology. Now governance also, just I touched. It's just given the examples of the customary laws. Here, one more thing is a very good way to, that research. It's a living and embodied sources. Like some of the most important internal system sources are not text or speech at all, but living practices, like knowledge stored in the body, in craft process and ritual action, in a relationship between practitioner, and environment. These embodied sources present the greatest challenge to conventional academic documentation and the greatest reward for patient engagement. Like classical and folk performing arts, the body of trained Satriya dancer embodied thousands of years of aesthetic. Just I have given the Satriya, but instead of the Satriya, the Kuchipudi, Bharatnatyam, or that Rasha Krishna Lila from Manipur. I would just given the few examples, and this kind of classical dance form embodies thousands of years of aesthetic, philosophical, and devotional and cosmological knowledge that no text fully captures. The mudras, the bhava, rasha, the laya, vinaya. It is a form of knowledge and action. Even we can, if we go through, definitely this is the very good connection with the Natya Shastra. The ragas, the tala, the bhava, rasha, etc. We can go through. We can find there also in Natya Shastra. We'll come to the craft tradition, the hands of the master weaver. Different kind of cotton, pat, khadi from the Gujarat side, the muga, the golden thread, the mulberry silk from this eastern side, sculptor, blacksmith, or potter carry technological, aesthetic, and ecological knowledge developed over generations through sustained empirical practice. Ecological practices, if we come to. So ecological practice, tribal communities whose agricultural system, say for example, if I have given the examples from the Arunachal or Nagaland, the Jabo irrigation, the water harvesting, bamboo dripping, the hillies area actually they are doing. If you are from the Himachal or Sikkim side, some other hilly side, they are, this is the, the traditional method, how to do the agriculture, the traditional method of the step farming or the terrace farming or bamboo dripping. Pani kahan se? Us hilly area mein, how is it possible to provide the water? It's a land area. It is really very good to, that preserve the water or maybe the provide the water to the crops. But how is it possible to do the, the same amount of the water in the hilly areas as well? They cannot, wait and collect the plains area, of course not. So that's why they are trying to, that find out the way so that actually they can provide the water. So bamboo dripping is the most good examples where actually they connected the bamboos. They cut into a piece like, their pipes, and they try to connect to the water flow, and the water flow through that, water flow to direct the water and provides the water to the crops. So step farming as well, and the jung cultivation or sifting cultivation. It's a very good example of the traditional method in terms of the agriculture. We'll come to the point of the yoga and contemplative practices, the direct experiential knowledge cultivated through sustained practice of asana, pranayama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. This knowledge cannot be extracted from a textbook. It must be lived. So, and also, say for example, if you have some, breathing problem, or maybe you do not have that much hemoglobin. So what will you do? This is actually the practical example that I do not have that much hemoglobin in my body. Okay, so that's why I cannot do the, that anulam vilolam. Anulam vilolam I cannot do. So I have to do only the pranayama. So why? This and some that asanas that only I can do, so that actually the that hemoglobin level, the blood level actually can increase, because of the that almost the zero in that in my ferritin. Of course, this is again, if I come to that point of the Ayurveda, that Pancha Mahabhuta, of course, the imbalance of the Pancha Mahabhuta, imbalance of there is a, the difficulties of the three dosa. So that's why I can actually feel in my body. So I cannot actually, the other examples, I can give my examples only. So that the proper, mental health to, physical health, everything, this is the, that resource we can take from our root, of course, from the Sanskrit text to this kind of, practical examples from the Ayurveda, yoga, exercises. So yes, this is the route we are following, and definitely we can actually go through these practices, and of course to the next generation as well. So healing practices. So healing practices, the clinical wisdom of the traditional Vaidya or tribal healer, built through generations of case observation, pharmacological experimentation, and patient relationship, a form of evidence-based medicine proceeding the modern term. Okay, yet again, definitely, I would like to, give the examples from the Ayurveda. Ayurveda mein Haritaki, the Sanskrit word Haritaki is there, right? So I'm just going to, actually right now I forgot the Haritaki, the scientific name. Just a moment. Yes, it's a Terminilla chabula. So Haritaki is the scientist, Haritaki is a Sanskrit name, and in a vernacular language in Assamese, we can call it Sahilika. So why I just mention of this Haritaki or Terminilla chabula? It is mentioned in the Ayurveda. It is a very good, that we can call it fruit medicinal plant to our body. Why it is so much important? And how it can actually we can go through with this Haritaki. What is the benefit? Of course, again, we have to go and deep knowledge we have to take where? From the Ayurveda. Again, if we can connect, I will go definitely the second, the third, and fourth. You can see in the brochure where you will find out what is the next session and all. Definitely we go, and one day there is a session. You have to actually complete few that questions, that how this kind of traditional knowledge systems sorry, traditional knowledge system we can connect with the modern contemporary learning. Because without contemporary learning and the if we fail to make the bridge between this ancient knowledge system and if we fail to connect with the contemporary time, so definitely there is no use to learning the Indian knowledge system. I just mentioned you can just go to the Indian patent, the government of India. So there is a patent published, and yes, it was my patent. I was I worked on the Haritaki, the Terminilla chabula, and it is a very good medicine for the type 2 diabetes. This is a very good example. Next, again, with the help of that neem and some other herbal production, going to to the work for that herbal sanitizer, because during COVID session we know that what like our that the skin of our hand, of course, ये बहुत rough होके गया था, right? And we cannot actually use that kind of sanitizer because of the chemical use, right? So why not we are using the neem and some other herbal production? So definitely we can go through. We have to go through in details. We have to definitely take the help of the biotech. But of course, we cannot forget the Ayurveda. What is there? This is the interdisciplinary research. We cannot forget our root. Definitely we have to make the bridge. And that's why this kind of FDP is required, so that through this kind of lecture, not only I'm giving the lecture, but after the session, I am also taking some, that learning method or something, take away along with me from you. So anyway, so this is the thing, the healing practices. Healing practices is not only in India. Okay, so when I was in Europe, I visited, there was a field work actually South Varska. It is a, that will be a very good, that interdisciplinary resource and the contemporary research as well. I visited South Varska, and that village when I visited, I met one lady. She was working on some magical chant. That means someone is actually feeling, that ill or for, that even not well. So they are using the magical chant. जो गीत होते हैं ना, magical गीत, the song they are using, and they believe that kind of music can heal the person mentally. Again, the similarly, if that actually it was mentioned in my PhD thesis also. आप लोगों को शायद मालूम होगा like the smallpox अभी तो नहीं है, but अभी भी village areas में we can see if someone actually falls that ill or not well, they are having some fevers and they have seen some kind of that pimples and all in their bodies. They don't want to go to the that any medical observation, or they don't want to go to the doctor directly. They will offer something to the Almighty, and they will arrange some songs and all. Even that North India side and Eastern side, so till West Bengal also, that they are using this magical chant during the Chitla Puja, Bibi hote hai, right? But it is not only just limited to the West Bengal. It is here also in the northeast side, Assam also. We can call it a Ainam, Hitola Puja, the Bhagavati Gate. This is a magical chant. So what is the difference of the Indian knowledge system here is a Western knowledge system? Of course, what actually there we can find out. That is the oral transmission, by the way. However, there was something, obviously, difference to rahega, but we can find out some, similarities through this kind of, related study materials or research. So this is the music actually can heal the person. And again, music means that is the Baba connected to the, that energy, that mind, mental health. Again, it is come to the Samaveda. So what is epistemology and why does IKS need one? Again, I would like to say epistemology is the philosophical study of the nature, sources, limits, validity of knowledge. Knowledge means everything, just I mentioned, interdisciplinary, everything, the 6 or 7 fields I discussed. Again, when I discussed this one, Atharva Veda, I actually forgot where to stay. I just mentioned we should not forget the architecture. We should not forget the architecture. The Vernacular architecture is actually the very good examples. So here, just a moment. Yes. Very important conceptual foundations of Indian knowledge system. What is the epistemology? Just I use the word epistemology. What is the epistemological foundation, by the way? It's a pramana theory. What is pramana? It is grounded in diverse means of the valid knowledge. That means perceptions from the root ma, meaning to measure. Pramana, it's a measure. Pra meaning authoritatively. Pramana is a valid instrument or source of knowledge that produces prama, cognition that is true, non-erroneous, and not merely recalled. The question of which sources of cognition qualify as valid pramanas is the central epistemological dispute among Indian philosophical schools. The diversity of answers, it is itself philosophically illuminating. We'll come to the pratyaksha. What is that? So pratyaksha is direct sensory perception, the contact of the sense organs, 5 gyanendriyas, with their corresponding sense objects mediated by the minds, that means mana, illuminated by the self, atmana. It is accepted by virtually all Indian philosophical schools as the most basic and foundational pramana. However, Indian knowledge system elaborates perception far more carefully than ordinary uses. Various like nirvikalpa pratyaksha, shavikalpaka pratyaksha, then yogaja pratyaksha, and manasha pratyaksha. That means mental perception, pain, pleasure, desire, memory, accepted as a form of perception of nyaya. I will show you here very good, yes, this is the table, the Pramana theory. This is, you can actually click the picture and snapshot. So you will go through that what is the, the Pramana, meaning key elaboration and classic example. What is Prataksha Pramana? Because this is actually, we are using everyday life. Everyday life, we actually do not, that recall. But this is the actual thing. Just a moment. Okay. So again, after this slide, I think the major darshana is also very much important. The darshana and Guru Sishya Parampara, it is very much important. This is also, you can take the steps up, because why I mentioned it is always related to the next sessions as well, second, third, and fourth sessions, and definitely will be some question answer session based on this. And of course, it will be reflected through my that oral sessions as well. Everything will be included. We cannot remove the darshana. We cannot remove this Pramana theory. We cannot remove the Anumana. We cannot remove everything. Upamana, Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi, nothing. And all are connected to the, that day-to-day life. Sorry. So here I was mentioned about the Guru Sishya Parampara. It is a very good example of the epistemological institution, because it is used to philosopher to, that Michael, even I think you heard about the philosopher Michael Polanyi's term, a master sculptor knows things about stone that no text captures. Say for example, the Guru, dance form, etc. of Assam, if I say, things about the Abhinaya that no notation system records. A traditional healer knows things about a patient condition that no protocol encodes. This tacit knowledge can only be transmitted through sustained proximity. Then transformative knowledge is deepest Indian knowledge system epistemological insight is that genuine knowledge transforms the knower. A student who has merely memorized the Bhagavad Gita has information. A student who has genuinely understood it is different. The Guru's role is precisely to catalyze this transformation, which requires relationship, not just instruction. Again, if we'll come to the contextual part, that means the Viveka. The Guru does not merely convey universal rules, but teaches the student to read particular situation wisely. And the Adhikara, preparedness, the student's ethical preparedness, commitment, inner readiness are epistemological prerequisites in ITS. Knowledge of certain kinds cannot be genuinely received by an unprepared mind. This is why the Upanishadic teaching is given in dialogue, not in treatise form. And just why I have actually shown in Guru Sishya Parampara as epistemological institution, if you were the faculty members are presenting everything, it is related to you and also to your students. This is the Guru Sishya Parampara. Everywhere, every day, we are using. And this is the actually reflection from for the participants. This is the questions, that why the strength of, I guess, most, sorry, that the gaps in own disciplinary traditions and all. It is really very much important. All right. Just a moment. Here, I guess it's a vast pluralistic continuum. I think you went through. Ontology, shapes, epistemology, Desis also went through. All four sources categories are, legitimate. That is also went through. And Pramana trace world-class philosophy that I mentioned. And Guru Sishya is an epistemological institution. So today's actually lecture was actually fifth objective, learning objective. because I'm sure that you are able to know about that what is Indian knowledge system and distinguish their scope from conventional academic disciplines that I mentioned, the 6 or 7 fields. Then identity, the core ontological and conceptual foundation that underpin all IKS tradition. Enumerate and explain the major categories of sources through which IKS is transmitted, and that this is actually the that third point. Enumerate and explain the major categories of source through which IKS is transmitted. There is actually lots of opportunity to do research, that how we can connect the bridge with the contemporary, the time with our root. That means the Sanskrit text and the other Brahmanic text and all. We cannot actually ignore that kind of things. Just a moment. And I'm sure this is also very much already I have mentioned, that oral performance tradition, craft and all, oral tradition and embodied knowledge. This is just an examples. This is just an example. However, I just mentioned, I have already mentioned. Okay. Here also, just a quickly revision of the sources of IKS, Shruti and Smriti. And you can also click that this part as a snapshot. Yes, I would just would like to ask the organizer whether is it possible to give some, that questions in a Google form or later, so that actually the organizer actually can, the last day also can give the that questions, so that actually we can discuss at last. Maybe that's not that much enough time for today, right? Someone is there, and definitely I could ask. Anyways, so participants, are you ready for the questions? So is it okay if we can discuss on the last day? Right? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, audible.
Yes. So it is better, like if the organizer permits, definitely we can go through. I think the last session, the last day, we can just discuss. So you just quickly go through, or if I have time, then definitely we can actually go today. Definitely, fifth day we can actually discuss how to bring IKS to the curriculums and all. And because this is the foundation course, and of course, more or less, actually, we know now it is what is IKS. First of all, otherwise, so definitely, that there was a question: what was IKS? What is actually the IKS meaning? Nowadays, actually, more or less, everyone knows about the Indian knowledge system. But yes, मतलब ऊपर से जाना और in depth जाना, it's actually a vast difference. So we have to know. Otherwise, just a knowledge system ही हो जाएगा if we cannot. So that's why I would like to give you some actually questions how it is actually. If you are from the different fields, say for example, if someone from the language or literature, how you can connect with this epistemological system, or you can just find that this parts are there. So how it is actually connected. Say for example, this Pramana theory, how we can actually connect your literature, language part and all. If you are from the architecture background, where you actually go through, where you can actually find out the, that the bridge, so that actually you can make the bridge and you can do a very good research. And holistic worldview and language symbolism harmony. See, you can see here the meat, metaphor, narratives, itihasa. So language students actually, or the faculties, can go ahead with this. Integration of theories and practice. This is also actually with the philosophy and that science, art, that examples of Ayurveda's combines choice observation, that also can that do work on theories and practice, ethical spiritual orientation, the dharma karma. This is also actually related to the, that local ecology, culture, etc. You may connect, and holistic worldview, then experiential and embodied knowledge, anubhava. So your work will be, that's why I asked to, that click the snapshot of this. This is actually, that takeaway for today's session. Like, what is the meaning of the pramana, meaning key elaborations and the classic example. Like, what is the prataksha, direct perception, so where you are going to actually put, right? And classical example mein kya hoga. So you can find out, and I would be very happy, like if you can actually share with us whatever you learned from today, or maybe we can discuss in the last day, right? So these are the things, and you just go through with the suggested readings. Okay, here actually someone actually asked the suggested reading of the day one. Maybe it is not written properly, but if you are able to go through, then you just click the picture. Otherwise, tomorrow again the reading materials I will give you tomorrow along with the day one. And this is the actually day two, preview of the day two. You have to go with the textual foundation. Okay, into the living world of oral tradition. We'll go ahead and recall one oral tradition, folk songs and proverb, folk practice from your own community, and definitely we are going to actually ask and discuss tomorrow. So this is the thing for today, and I'm sure you just like the session, and of course you learn something. If you learn something, then you can share so that I can actually learn from you, because this is the two-way learning. I always actually share with my students. I am not here just for giving the lecture. If I am here, definitely I will give the lecture, but we'll take with me some lessons from this session as well, so that actually the two-way learning session also that give me that kind of benefit, so that actually I can also learn from you. Thank you so much, participants and organizers. Hope today's lessons was good. Thank you so much. If anything else, you can ask if we have time. Thank you. Here I would like to say something before going. अगर आप एक घर बना रहे हैं, okay, so if the foundation or root is not that good, so how can you expect to make the 5th, 6th or 7th that buildings? Of course not. Your foundation should be strong. So this is the foundation of IKS today. So I hope you are enough to understand about the foundation. घर बना रहे हैं तो root भी जानना जरूरी है. Root nahi hoga, so definitely we are not able to make our own buildings. We are right now in the that journey of that Indian knowledge systems. Without foundations of knowledge systems, Indian knowledge systems, without the concept, without the source and epistemology, we are actually zero, right? So that's the thing. If anything, please, yes, go ahead, and thank you, organizer. Thank you, participants. I'm happy to see the participants and a good number of participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very wonderful and insightful session as a beginning. And if the participants are not having any discussion to be made, then we'd like to call it a day. And I'd like to invite Dr. Lata Kumar for delivering the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
IKS Cell and Faculty of Social Science, Shahid Mangal Pandey, Government Postgraduate Girls College, Meerut, in collaboration with Nucleus of Learning and Development पर आधारित Indian Knowledge as Living Tradition, Folklore and Indigenous Knowledge in Contemporary Context पर आधारित इस एक सप्ताह की FDP में मैं इस आभासी मंच से जुड़े हुए सभी सहयोगियों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करती हूँ। बहुत ही अच्छा, बहुत ही शानदार सेशन था। सबसे ज्यादा धन्यवाद हमारे आज के रिसोर्स पर्सन स्पीकर शाश्वती जी का। बहुत ही नॉलेज से भरा हुआ। निश्चित तौर पर भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा, आज हम इसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। लगता है जैसे कुछ समय ऐसा था पिछला जिसमें हम व्यवहार में तो ले रहे थे प्रयोग, लेकिन हम इस चीज को खुद से नहीं सोच रहे थे, खुद से नहीं समझ रहे थे कि भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा हमारे लिए किस रूप में उपयोगी है, क्यों उपयोगी है। और धीरे धीरे कहीं इसको हम साइड में लेने लगे थे कि ठीक है, अरे ये पुरानी बातें हैं, ये अंधविश्वास है, इनको नहीं लेना है, ये पुराने लोगों के ख्याल हैं। लेकिन अब यही चीजें ज्ञान परंपरा के रूप में जब हमारे सामने दिखाई देने लगी हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं हमें हमारी जो परंपराएं हैं, हमारी जो धरोहर हैं, उन पर हमें अब गौरव होने लगा है। तो इस विषय पर अभी आने वाले दिनों में बहुत अच्छे से हमारे सामने चीजें आएंगी। मैं इस मंच से जुड़े हुए सभी लोगों का बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ। मैं हार्दिक धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करती हूँ हमारे निदेशक और पैटर्न प्रोफेसर BL शर्मा जी का, निदेशक उच्च शिक्षा उत्तर प्रदेश। मैं बहुत धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करती हूँ हमारी संरक्षक प्रोफेसर अंजू सिंह जी का, हमारे प्राचार्य का, कि उन्होंने अपना समय यहाँ पर दिया। मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करती हूँ हमारी कन्वीनर प्रोफेसर भारती दीक्षित जी का, और हमारी आयोजन समिति के सभी सदस्यों का मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करती हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद है हमारा NLD की टीम का, जो हमारे साथ निरंतर जुड़ी हुई है और इस कार्यक्रम को सफल बनाने में उन्होंने सहयोग दिया है। और निश्चित तौर पर जो प्रतिभागी इस FDP से जुड़े हुए हैं, उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, क्योंकि उनके बिना हमारा कोई भी आयोजन जो है वो सफल नहीं हो सकता। तो जब हमारे साथ लोग जुड़ते हैं तभी कार्यक्रम सफल होते हैं। मैं प्रोफेसर लता कुमार, शहीद मंगल पांडे, राजकीय स्नातकोत्तर महिला महाविद्यालय मेरठ से आप सभी का इस मंच पर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करती हूँ, अभिनंदन करती हूँ। थैंक यू सो मच।
धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, ma'am. And it is to remind all the participants that the feedback form link will be shared at the last day of the FDP, that is in the last session. And you all are requested to fill the feedback form then and there only. So if you do not have any other query, then we should call it a day. Thank you so much, everyone.